Hello and welcome. We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. As fighting continues across multiple fronts, Russia-Ukraine accuse each other of overnight air attacks on border regions. Reaffirming unwavering support to Kiev, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni suggests India's role in resolving Russia-Ukraine conflict. Multi-story building collapses in North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh. 8 killed and over 25 wounded in the mishap. Rescue and relief operation continues. And Navdeep Singh silver upgraded to gold in men's javelin throw F41 at Paralympics. India at 16th position with 7 gold medals, 29 in total. A top story. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken plans to travel to the United Kingdom on Monday, a week after Britain suspended some arms export licenses with Israel over equipment that could be used in the conflict in Gaza. In the trip slated to go through Tuesday, Blinken will open the US-UK strategic dialogue. Blinken will also meet with senior government officials to discuss issues including Indo-Pacific, the AUKUS defense pact between the US, Australia, Britain and the Middle East, and collective efforts to support Ukraine in conflict against Russia. And Russia claimed that its forces had seized control of one more settlement in Donetsk in the past 24 hours, while Ukraine reported on the same day that the situation in the Pokrovsk front line had been improved, according to the latest updates on the conflict. The Russian Ministry of Defense reported that Russian troops had seized control of Kalinovo settlement in Donetsk. The Russian aviation units conducted strikes on a Ukrainian military airport, factories producing drone components and tactical missiles, as well as warehouses storing foreign weaponry. The ministry also said the Russian air defense forces intercepted 30 Ukrainian drones. Updates now on Russia-Ukraine conflict. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on the sidelines of the annual Teha Business Forum on Saturday. Meloni pledged unwavering support for Ukraine, in which they discussed Kiev's plans to end the conflict with Russia and reconstruction efforts. Meloni said Italy would never backtrack on its support for Ukraine, and the choice of supporting Ukraine will not change. Further, Meloni underlined India's key role in resolving tensions between Russia and Ukraine. Meloni's statement comes as Russian President Vladimir Putin named India among the 3 countries he is in touch with over the Ukraine conflict.
I believe actor nations like China and India have a role to play and must play a role to resolve the conflict in Ukraine. The only thing that cannot happen, gentlemen, is to think that the conflict can be solved by abandoning Ukraine to its fate, because that will not bring peace, it will bring chaos. It will bring wars closer to home, and it will bring many economic consequences, all the more serious than what it costs today to support Ukraine. The choice of supporting Ukraine has been first and foremost a choice of national interest, and it's a choice that won't change.
Shifting focus now, U.S. President Joe Biden attended a church service in Delaware Saturday as U.S. efforts continue to end the conflict in Gaza. The head of the Central Intelligence Agency, William Burns, said a more detailed ceasefire proposal would be made in the next several days. He added he was working very hard on text and creative formulas with mediators Qatar and Egypt to secure a ceasefire by finding a proposal which satisfies both parties. And thousands of demonstrators took to the streets across France on Saturday, fiercely opposing President Emmanuel Macron's appointment of Michel Barnier as Prime Minister. The 73-year-old Barnier, a conservative former EU Brexit negotiator, was named by Macron despite protests from the leftist France Unbowed Party. The left, led by far-left France Unbowed Party, has accused Macron of a denial of democracy and stealing the election after Macron refused to pick the candidate of New Popular Front alliance that came top in July vote. Polls revealed widespread discontent, with 74% of French people believing Macron has disregarded election outcomes. As Barnier prepares to tackle significant reforms and present the 2025 budget, he faces the looming threat of a no-confidence vote in October. And French far-right leader Jordan Bardella declared his party is closely monitoring newly appointed Prime Minister Michel Barnier. Speaking on Saturday, Bardella signaled that Barnier's government could collapse if it continues President Macron's policies. The far-right leader emphasized that his party would assess Barnier based on his policy decisions, leaving the possibility of no confidence vote open.
If newly appointed French Prime Minister Mr. Michel Barnier wants to be the voice and the driver of the democratic aspirations that were expressed in the legislative elections, then I will judge him on his policies, which does not mean that there will be no vote of no confidence during his mandate. If, on the other hand, he is a new frontman of Macronism and he continues the policy that was led by French President Emmanuel Macron and which was very severely sanctioned at the ballot box last July, then this government will fall.
Updates from Venezuela now. The government of South American nation on Saturday said the opposition presidential candidate Edmundo Gonzalez has left the country. Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, in a post on social media platform X, said that Gonzalez had left the Spanish embassy where he was seeking asylum and left Venezuela. Rodriguez said that Gonzalez voluntarily sought refuge in the Spanish embassy in Caracas several days ago and asked for that government to process his political asylum. He further added that Caracas had agreed to his safe passage and that he had left. In other updates, Venezuela has ended Brazil's authority to represent Argentine interests in the country. In a statement, Venezuela said the decision was effective immediately and was due to proof that the embassy was being used to plan assassination attempts against President Nicolas Maduro and Vice President Delcy Rodriguez Gomez. The decision would halt Brazil's stewardship of Argentina's embassy in Caracas, which currently shelters 6 Venezuelan opposition members seeking asylum. The Brazil government soon after said that it had received the communication with surprise. In a statement, Brazil insisted that it would remain in custody and defense of Argentine interests until Argentina indicates another state acceptable to Venezuela to do so. It also underscored that international law prevents local law enforcement from entering diplomatic facilities without permission. Meanwhile, Venezuelan security forces have surrounded the Argentine embassy in the capital Caracas, which is sheltering 6 Venezuelan political figures opposed to President Nicolas Maduro. The opposition members first sought shelter in the Argentine embassy in March after government prosecutors ordered their arrest on conspiracy charges. And former U.S. President and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump pledged in Wisconsin on Saturday to throw up unprecedented tariffs and clamp down on immigrants. Speaking at a regional airport in Mosinee, a town of about 4,500 people, the Republican presidential candidate warned that even allies like the European Union would face new trade restrictions if he wins the November 5 election against Democratic nominee Kamala Harris. He repeatedly presented migrants as a grave danger to Wisconsin, warning without evidence that immigrants in the country illegally could evict local residents from their homes.
We're run by stupid people. Stupid people. And we found that out at the debate with Joe. How did that work out? And we're going to find it out again on Tuesday night.
While the Trump campaign has identified Hispanics and black men as areas of growth for the Republican Party, much of Trump's campaigning in recent weeks has been in small Rust Belt cities and towns that have few of either demographic. Now, U.S. Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris welcomed the support from former Vice President Dick Cheney and his daughter, former Representative Liz Cheney. The Vice President said on Saturday that she was honored to win their backing. In a statement released on Friday, Dick Cheney called Trump a threat and voting for Harris a duty. The Harris campaign said on Friday that the Cheneys had joined a growing movement of Republicans putting country over party by supporting Harris.
I'm honored to have their endorsement, and I think that what they both, as leaders who are well respected are making an important statement that it's okay and, if not important, to put country above party.
Now, U.S. Democratic Vice Presidential candidate Minnesota Governor Tim Walz spoke to the Human Rights Campaign annual national dinner in Washington, D.C. Saturday, where he said Republicans are more interested in banning books than weapons in school. His address comes as Harris leads the former President Donald Trump in both national and key battleground state polls. Recent surveys also show Harris and Walz gaining ground in several battleground states and over issues such as crime and the economy.
Folks are banning books, but they're okay with weapons of war being in our schools. Look, that's not this country. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't happen elsewhere. We're going to make sure our children are seen, they bring their authentic selves, and then we're going to make sure they're safe when they get there.
All right, updates on Israel-Hamas conflict. Israel Defense Forces in a social media post informed about the elimination of 2 battalion commanders of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. The IDF said that the 2 PIJ commanders were killed in a precise IAS strike on a Hamas and Islamic Jihad command and control center embedded inside the humanitarian area in Dar el-Balah. According to the IDF, one terrorist was involved in October 7 attack, while the other one carried out attacks against IDF troops throughout the war. Now, 2 German warships are set to pass through the sensitive Taiwan Strait in the middle of this month, becoming the first German naval vessels to do so in 22 years. Reportedly last month that the warships were awaiting orders from Berlin to sail the strait, prompting a rebuke to Germany from Beijing. While the United States and other nations, including Canada, have sent warships through the strait in recent weeks, it would be the German Navy's first passage since 2002. The Taiwan Strait is a major trade route through which about half of global container ships pass, and both the United States and Taiwan say it is an international waterway. The Kentucky police were searching rock terrain near a national forest for a suspect after at least 7 people were wounded by gunfire while driving down the rural stretch of an interstate highway. The chaos began just before 6 p.m. local time when gunfire erupted from a wooded area, striking multiple vehicles on the interstate about 9 miles from London. Local authorities confirmed that numerous persons have been shot, prompting a shutdown of I-75. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear addressed the situation, asking the public to pray for those affected and promising more details as they emerge. Tensions remain high as law enforcement works to bring the dangerous situation under control. London Mayor Randall Weddell urged residents to avoid the area while the suspect remains at large. Now, in UK's Glasgow, a fierce clash erupted between anti-immigration and anti-racism protesters on Saturday. The situation intensified as both groups shouted slogans and displayed banners necessitating police action to separate the opposing sides. The intense standoff required police intervention, with officers seen tackling protesters to maintain order. Glasgow City Council leader Susan Aitken expressed disappointment at the scenes, though she noted the far-right turnout was lower than anticipated. This conflict follows the recent surge of right-wing riots across the UK, sparked by false claims that an asylum seeker was behind the Southport stabbings. Now, Typhoon Yagi weakened on Sunday after killing at least 14 people in Vietnam's capital Hanoi. The havoc caused floodings in many neighborhoods, downing thousands of trees and damaging houses. Authorities warned of continued heavy rains, flash floods and landslides in northern Vietnam, where the storm, downgraded from a super typhoon, has killed at least 7 and injured dozens since making landfall on Saturday afternoon. And Yagi is the 11th typhoon of this year, has developed into a force 17 super typhoon. Yagi was Asia's most powerful storm this year. Super typhoon Yagi hit island districts of North Vietnam around 6 GMT, generating winds of up to 160 km per hour near its center. Now, Bolivia declared a national emergency due to raging forest fires, the country's defense ministry announced on Saturday. Bolivia has seen the largest number of wildfires since 2010, with at least 3 million hectares have burned this year. Bolivia's firefighting forces are stretched thin, and the government has called for international aid. South America is in the throes of its peak fire season that spans August and September after an unusually early fire season started devastating the country in July following a drought. Brazil has also seen major blazes in city, and the Amazon rainforest is off to the worst start in 2 decades after a record drought. All right, still to come on this edition of DD India Live. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar arrives in Riyadh to take part in the first India-Gulf Cooperation Council Foreign Ministers meeting. Preparations underway for Jammu and Kashmir assembly polls. And India begins Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations with full fervour.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has arrived in Riyadh, the capital and largest city of Saudi Arabia, to take part in the first India-Gulf Cooperation Council Foreign Ministers meeting. On his arrival, the minister met Saudi's Deputy Minister for Protocol Affairs, Abdul Majid Al-Smari. He also welcomed by Ambassador Dr. Suhail Khan. During the visit, he is also expected to hold bilateral meetings with foreign ministers from GCC member countries. India and the GCC enjoy a deep and multifaceted relationship in areas including political, trade and investment, energy cooperation, cultural and people-to-people ties. And the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, will pay an official visit to India at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday. This would be the first visit of Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan to India as the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi. He will be accompanied by several ministers from the UAE government and a business delegation. And in a tragic incident, at least 8 people died while 28 others injured when a multi-story building collapsed in North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh on Saturday. Teams of India's National Disaster Response Force and State Disaster Response Force, along with police and administration, put all the efforts to save people trapped in debris. State Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath took cognizance of the building collapse incident and instructed officials to hasten the relief efforts. Updates now on assembly polls in North India's Jammu and Kashmir. Preparations are underway in the Union Territory for the upcoming assembly elections. Polling staff are being trained by the Election Commission of India officials ahead of first phase of polling to be held on September 18. The training session was attended by polling staff who received essential instructions on operating and managing electronic voting machines and voter verifiable paper audit trails. Also campaigning for the election intensified in the valley, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to hold rallies in Ramban and Banihal district on Sunday. And today is the second day of Ganesh Chaturthi festival that began on Saturday. The 10-day festival can be witnessed across the country as devotees thronged and offered prayers on the occasion of Ganesh Chaturthi. Various unique themed Lord Ganesha's majestic idols are installed all over India to connect with his divine energy. a 40-foot-tall idol of Lord Ganesha, crafted from 6,000 plates, 1,500 Kamakshi lamps and 350 seashells, was installed in Indian city of Chennai for Ganesh Chaturthi. Now all the updates from Paralympics 2024. India's para-athlete Navdeep Singh's silver medal in the men's javelin throw F41 final was upgraded to gold after Iran's Prasar Bharati was disqualified on Saturday. This victory marks India's first ever gold in the men's javelin F41 category. The 23-year-old, who came from Haryana, started the competition with a foul. However, he recovered with a throw of 46.39 meters in his second attempt, placing him in second place. His third attempt was a remarkable 47.32 meters, shattering the Paralympic record and putting him in the lead. Iran's Sadiq then outdid Navdeep with a throw of 47.64 meters in his fifth attempt and temporarily clinched the gold medal. And India's para-athlete Simran clinched a bronze medal in women's 200-meter T12 final at the Paris 2024 Paralympics on Saturday alongside her guide Abhay Singh. Simran clocked with a personal best time of 24.75 seconds after narrowly missing out on a podium finish in 100-meter dash. The race for the gold was won by Cuba's Omara Duran Elias, who finished with a time of 23.62 seconds, while Venezuela's Paola Alejandra Perez Lopez secured the silver with 24.19 seconds. The T12 classification in the Paralympics is designated for athletes with visual impairments. All right, let's go across to DD India's Narayan Singh is joining us live from Delhi. Narayan, India's superb show at Paralympics continue. Navdeep Singh gave 7th gold to India after his silver was upgraded. Tell us, why was the Iranian athlete who originally got gold disqualified? All right, we'll try to connect with Narayan once again. But yes, Navdeep Singh, India's para-athlete, his medal from silver was upgraded to a gold medal. Moving on to our next story now. US Open, Belarusian Arna Sabalenka beat American 6th seed Jessica Pegula 7-5, 7-5 in the US Open women's final on Saturday. World number 2 Sabalenka triumphed 7-5, 7-5 to add the New York title to her back-to-back Australian Open victories. Pegula went down fighting, however, recovering from 0-3 and break point down to lead 5-3 in the second set before Sabalenka came through. The 26-year-old from Belarus clubbed 40 winners to become the first woman since Angelique Kerber in 2016 to capture both hardcourt majors in the same season. Tennis to cricket. Now England all-rounder Moeen Ali has announced his retirement from all forms of international cricket. In an interview to UK Daily, 37-year-old Moeen expressed disappointment over not being selected for Australia series. He further said, and I quote him, "I've played a lot of cricket for England. It's time for the next generation, which was also explained to me. I felt the time was right. I've done my part." Debuting from international cricket in 2014, Moeen played 68 tests, 138 ODIs and 92 T20Is as an all-rounder. He finishes with 6,678 runs, 8 centuries, 28 50s and 366 wickets for England across all formats. His last international outing was England's semi-final loss to India at the T20 World Cup in Guyana. And the Indian Air Force put on a display of power and precision at the Open Day event as part of exercise Tarang Shakti 24 Phase 2 at Air Force Station Jodhpur. Aircraft from the Indian Air Force and participating friendly foreign countries were showcased in the static display. The all-women Air Warrior drill team put up a mesmerizing performance, while the Prachand Tejas Su-30 MKI and the Suryakiran aerobatic team displayed spectacular maneuvers.
And there it is, our very own light combat aircraft, the Tejas.
All right, that's all for this edition on DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.